Guys, today I have some breaking news to share. It's me, Harrison Ford, President of the United States, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, and I'm right at the center of this story. And what if I told you there's a new Captain America out there, but things aren't so easy for him? Well, I'm going to tell you everything, no spoilers, or almost. Now, the story starts with me in the most powerful position in the world. But don't think it's just about pushing buttons and signing papers. While I'm trying to keep the country in order, Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, is out there investigating things that, honestly, it might be better to just leave alone. But who am I to talk, right? I'm a retired general who became president, and who would have thought he still has to deal with superhero problems? You must remember Steve Rogers, America's sweetheart. That's right. He decided to pass the shield to Sam Wilson. And now the new captain has to prove that he deserves the title. The problem is that he doesn't have the super soldier serum. Can you imagine being a hero and not having that genetic boost? He's also feeling that weight. And believe me, we talked about this a lot in the movie. Now, let me talk a little about myself because let's face it, I'm the star here. I'm President Thunderbolt Ross, and you know what? I've done pretty well. With so much chaos going on, my presence stands out. I'm that guy who has to make decisions that leave people biting their nails. But don't worry, because my performance isn't the kind that puts you to sleep. The movie tries to bring a bit of that political and espionage vibe that made Captain America, the Winter Soldier, a success. The intention was good, but it lacked that engaging rhythm. At times, it feels like we're waiting for a big climax that never arrives. If you enjoy a good suspense, you might get a bit annoyed with the delay for things to really kick off. Now, about the technical part. I know everyone was excited to see the Red Hulk, and guess what? He shows up for a little while, about 7 minutes to be exact. If you were expecting me to spend the whole movie smashing everything, you can forget about that. The promotional material sold way more than what actually happens. But I can't complain too much. At least my moments on screen are well done. And about the special effects. Well, let's just say that even I, being in the movie, felt that some scenes were a bit weird. Some fight sequences are a bit stiff. And the visual effects, especially in some flying scenes, could have been better. There's a specific scene where I looked around and thought, this right here. It looks like a poorly cut green screen, but hey, it is what it is, right? The MCU has its ups and downs, and unfortunately this time we fell more into the latter group. The big problem with the movie is that it tries to take a little bit from various MCU films and mix it all together. In the end, it ends up feeling like a patchwork quilt. Some parts actually work, but others leave us with that feeling of déjà vu. And speaking of déjà vu, you know those loose ends in the MCU that we keep waiting for? Resolution. Well, some of them are tied up here, which is a positive point. Despite the problems, one of the highlights of the movie is how it handles Sam Wilson's identity as Captain America. The script does a good job of exploring the challenges he faces, both internal and external, while carrying this legacy. Seeing the character dealing with doubts and trying to find his own path within that iconic mantle adds an emotional layer that makes the journey more interesting. On the other hand, the film also falters by trying to fit too many stories at once. In addition to tying up some loose ends, it adds subplots that end up not being fully developed. Some parts of the plot feel loose, as if they were added in a hurry, which can make the experience a bit confusing. The main villain of the film is the leader, played by Tim Blake Nelson. His character, Samuel Stearns, returns after his appearance in The Incredible Hulk, and this time his enhanced intelligence makes him a real threat to Captain America and the U.S. government. He positions himself as a strategist who uses his genius to manipulate events and create controlled chaos, something that makes him a much more dangerous antagonist than just a simple physical villain. Still, the execution of the character divides opinions, as his presence could have been more impactful within the plot. Besides him, we also have a secondary villain played by Giancarlo Esposito. Unfortunately, his role ends up being underdeveloped and his presence in the story is underutilized. His character has the potential to be a memorable antagonist, but he ends up serving only as a supporting piece in the leader's plan, without any big moments to shine. This ends up being a waste, considering Esposito's talent for playing charismatic and threatening villains. The film establishes direct connections to upcoming MCU events, especially Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers, Infinity War. The subtle hints and some references that suggest important developments for the future of the franchise. Some characters introduced here may play crucial roles in the upcoming films, which could leave fans eager for what's to come. In the end, the film is not a disaster, but it is not a new classic either. If you're a fan of the MCU, you'll want to watch this, even if it's just to be able to complain later. Now, if you're expecting something on the level of a Winter Soldier, you might want to lower your expectations, but you want to know if you don't go in with high expectations, you might even have some fun, especially since there aren't any good options. Or are you going to prefer watching the new Snow White movie? Well, you already know how I get if I lose my cool. Now, seriously, if you've made it this far and you didn't leave a like, didn't subscribe, and didn't even comment, well, I have a little surprise for you. Let's just say that Red Hulk might not be as patient as I am. Do you really want to take that risk? You better secure your engagement quickly before I have to handle this in a more explosive way. I, Red Hulk, will respond when I'm calmer.